Our regular City Commission meeting. It's Monday, May 14th, 2018. It's now 7 o'clock p.m. If everyone would please rise and join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, and before we get started this evening, we would like to take some time out of our evening and recognize our friends Rob and Christy McPherson. They have a lot of fans in the audience today. And I have a lot to read in their honor, so get ready. All right, Rob and Christy came to Buchanan with their 3 children 12 years ago when Rob was appointed pastor at First United Methodist Church at 132 Oak Street. They are leaving Buchanan at the end of June as Rob has been appointed to another Methodist church in Hillsdale, Michigan. They will be greatly missed. Rob and Christy were quick to get involved with their new community, be it their church, their children's schools, or the less fortunate and people at risk. Their generous donation of time, talent, and effort made a big difference to Buchanan throughout their time here. Rob has served as the chaplain for the local police department. He has worked with the Southwest Michigan Human Trafficking Task Force to get training for local police and identification training for local businesses to recognize victims. He supported Narcotics Anonymous. First United Methodist Church is used for meetings. He is involved with the Church World Service for 15 years for Niles and the greater Michiana area and shared on the Crop Walk Committee. He has supported Boy Scout Troop 541. First United Methodist Church has been their meeting and site location of the Boy Scouts Spaghetti Dinner fundraiser. He's supported Make a Difference Day. First United Methodist Church has served as the registration site. He has initiated Niles Buchanan Lenten Season Service rotation of services among the area Methodist churches. He has preached at the Buchanan High School baccalaureate service when each of their children were seniors. He arranged for First United Methodist to provide Holy Communion at Buchanan Meadows. He's served on one Buchanan committee. First United Methodist Church served free watermelon at Summer Thrill on the Hill and participated in the Memorial Day parades. Christy and Rob helped each other in many of their separate community activities. Rob and Christy are both members of the Buchanan Area Ministerial Association, otherwise known as BAMA. Rob as president and Christy as the director of Redbud Area Ministries. Christy has served as president of the Band Boosters. Her great contribution to Buchanan has been her service at Redbud Area Ministries. She began as a volunteer and eventually became the executive director. She's used social media to get the word out about RAM's needs. She's organized, updated, and computerized RAM's record keeping. She's became certified in food safety and civil rights training requirements for RAM's eligibility to obtain and dispense food from Feeding America. She saw to building maintenance and upkeep. She knew when to be firm and when to be extra kind to a client. Was quick on the scene to offer temporary shelter at RAM and to comfort the victims of the Parkside Terrace fire. She organized the donations of food, money, and items and made sure that all the victims received equal assistance. She always looked for a better way for RAM to operate and to serve the people in the best way possible. She willingly gave of her time, picked up food from Feeding America in her own car, was always there for empty bowls, the Christmas toy giveaway, the Christmas food baskets, the back-to-school clothing giveaway, and the United States Postal Service food drive. A few times, Christy, Rob, and their children, even their parents, stayed to sort and stock the shelves after the volunteers left. She helped Rob and another volunteer seal the parking lot last fall. Life is truly better here because of the loving, caring, compassionate, and hardworking people like the two of you. We appreciate all that you have done for our community, and you will be greatly missed. thank you from all of us, and especially your neighbor, the mayor. Could you please come up? All right, and with that, we're going to hear from Father Leo. He is going to be providing the invocation this evening.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I think you're supposed to recognize Ms.
Oh, I'm
Buchanan.
sorry, Miss Buchanan had a soccer game and will be attending the next meeting. I'm sorry, I forgot to announce that. All right, Father Leo, you can come on up. Thank you. Sorry about that. Yes, go right ahead.
The other side, yes.
Yes.
Okay. I prepared my short prayer in thanksgiving for Rob and Christy. God bless. In the Act of the Apostles, chapter 20, says, "And there was much weeping on the part of all. They embraced Paul and kissed him, being sorrowful most of all because the word he had spoken, that they would not see his face again. And they accompanied him to the ship." These two verses are such heartbreaking passages because the Ephesian elders seem to sense that they will not see Paul's face again. And so they accompany him to the ship. And there were many tears and many hugs as they had time to grow very close together. And it broke their heart to see Paul leaving, knowing that the next time they saw him would be in the kingdom. Paul had been warned that suffering awaited him in Jerusalem, but still said to the Ephesian church leaders, "I do not account my life of any value, nor as precious to myself, if only I may finish my course and the ministry that I value nor as precious to myself, if only I may finish my course and the ministry that I received from the Lord Jesus, to testify to the gospel of the grace of God." We have met in your name, Lord Jesus Christ, for this far a while. We want to entrust Christy and Rav for this experience of service to your flock. We feel a sense of gratitude for what they mean for this community of Buchanan, and especially for the love we have for him. Thank you, Jesus, because you have not stopped providing pastors to take care of your flock. So we ask you how Saint Augustine prayed to you, "Sir, Lord Jesus Christ, give me what you ask and ask me what you want." Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father Leo. That was very nicely done. All right, and with that, we're going to move on to roll call.
Cole? Here. Hess?
Here.
Moore?
Here.
Turney?
Here.
Bianski? You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we're on item number 4, public comments. Citizens are allowed up to 3 minutes to discuss any agenda item. Please approach the microphone and state your name as well as your address.
3 comments. That gives me 9 minutes, right?
No, sorry.
The first one was 5F in the consent list. There was money going to be made available for what it says is the DAR, which I interpret as the Daughters of the American Revolution. But is it a misprint?
Dial-a-ride. Dial-a-ride.
Oh, good. Okay.
That's a good question, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the second question is 8C, the matter of the escape room. And I know you've got some extra comments probably, or the city manager has, but questions I'd like to hear answered is what upkeep contribution have the escape people made? And has Ross Sanders' building been improved? And have any people been brought to town, which was the original idea that they would come to town and spend money?
Okay.
So that's the second question. And the third one is, why on earth do we need to start to straighten out the crossroads at River Street and 4th and Redbud? So people can speed through, maybe? Have there been any accidents that caused us to do something to improve it? And I don't think allowing the speed will make it any better. And whenever the city touches some property, it seems the price goes up, because I believe there's $140,000 required for the house just north. And I'm not sure the little building they have there, which is like a former store of some sort, will no longer be viable because it doesn't have no parking now, and it won't even have any sidewalk if it's cut off. And then who pays for the unnecessary road work? Is it the county? And are they easily persuaded, or is it city contribution? Things like traffic lights were rather expensive when we did them before. I don't know if it was our funds, but and I don't see the point of the whole thing, having driven through it several times since I saw this. So I hope the explanation given by the city manager will be full and interesting.
Okay, thank you very much, Randall. Okay.
Norma Ferris, 304 North Oak. I'm asking for a copy of City Commission job description, mayor job description, city manager job description, chief of police job description, and deputy clerk job description. Can I pick them up Thursday?
I'll have to direct that to Bill.
I do recommend that she FOIA the information. That way it, follows the process.
What would you like me to do?
FOIA the request, and then we can get all that prepared for you. And
Talk to me that word so I understand.
Freedom of Information Act.
Okay.
Actually, just go up to Yvonne at the desk.
I will.
Quick little form, and
It should get you all set.
fill it out, and we'll get you the information.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, just to make an announcement, actually. I don't know, you might be aware that one of our firefighters, John Rodwalski, had a stroke about 4 weeks ago. And he's doing very well. Matter of fact, he's coming home this Thursday, the 17th. For everything that he's been through, he's progressing very well. So the 20th, Sunday the 20th, from 5 to 7, we're doing a benefit spaghetti dinner. So you might see it on our Facebook page. Obviously, we've got some flyers out there, but wanted to make an announcement, let everybody here know also, so it could get on the channel. But so come out. We're going to have support, hopefully, from both the other townships with it, because John was not only a member of our department currently, but he started in the Buchanan Township and was also on Niles Township. So he's been in the fire service for a long time. So, okay.
Great.
All right.
Yes.
Is that the firehouse?
And how much? Is it donation or?
It's $650 for adults, and children under 5 are free. I think that's the cost, right? That's the cost. Yeah. And like I say, 5 to 7 at the fire station.
Okay.
And also, there is a GoFundMe page. If you
Yes.
search for it, it's easy to donate that way, too.
Yep, that's true. Yeah. Yep, they started that a few weeks ago, and it's been progressing
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I've kind of been
Okay.
watching that. So.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Okay, anyone else? All right, with that, we'll go on to the consent calendar. And I have a couple of changes to the consent calendar. One is that we need to change the minutes from the last meeting. At the last meeting, our city attorney was also present at this meeting, and he made comments, and that's not reflected in, his comments are reflected in the minutes. His attendance is not. So we want to change the minutes to add him to attending that meeting. And then we also need a second item. We need to amend the number of the checks in item C. We need to add checks 76868 through 76870 in the amount of $3,461.35. I need a motion on that and a second.
I'll also move. I'll support.
Okay, roll call, please.
Hess,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Attorney,
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, and with that, we want to move on to item number 6, reports by departments,
Your Honor,
committee.
We
Oops.
could- We need a motion to
I'll
accept.
make the motion that we approve the amended consent calendar.
I'm sorry, I did make that mistake every time, don't I?
I will second that.
Thank you. We need a roll call on that too, please.
Moore,
Yes.
Attorney,
Yes.
Cole. Yes. Hess,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, and with that, we're going to move on to item number 6, reports by departments, committees, and boards. Tonight, we're being joined for letter A by our City of Buchanan Assessor, Mindy Cole Crocker. Mindy?
Good evening. I'm not sure, you all have a copy of the report in your packet? Okay. Do you just want me to read through it, or do you need just kind of a
You want to hit
highlight?
the highlights for the
Sure.
audience, please?
Okay, so the assessing office has seen many changes over the past year. Prior to my coming in, Berrien County had contracted with the assessing department for the city. That happened through June 30th, and then on July 1st, I officially took over as the assessor of record. And during last year's time frame, we were able to conduct July and December boards of review to correct clerical errors and/or mutual mistakes of fact to the 2018 assessment roll. Our Board of Review members, Brenda Hess, Carla Cole, Margaret Young, and Jennifer Singleton, approved changes due to late filings of personal property, receiving affidavits for disabled veterans exemption, hardship or poverty exemption applications, and principal residence exemption changes. I reviewed all building permits for 2017 with the assistance of the building inspector, Guy Lewis. Field visited the properties for new construction and our demos to determine value changes, and reviewed incomplete building permits from prior years to assess value changes as of December 31st, which is tax day. Sent out several mailing address changes to County Land Description Office, also correct mailing addresses as necessary for future mailings, like changes of assessment notices and tax bills. Completed field visits of residential, commercial, and industrial parcels and entered necessary changes in the database. Created and verified the latest SMACA special assessment in September of 2017. Verified and entered all parcel information. Sales were analyzed to determine the economic condition factors, and then those factors were applied to adjust the assessor's manual cost to the local 2018 market. Reviewed and returned mailings for any possible principal residency exemption changes. These significantly impact the school state aid fund for local school funding. Canvassed the city for new personal properties. New existing businesses as of December 31st were mailed statements, and then parcels that were no longer in business were removed. Process the personal property tax statements, Form 4175 or 632. This form is used to obtain a statement of assessed personal property. Also process Form 5076, which is the affidavit to claim small business tax exemption for all timely submitted commercial and industrial properties located within the city with a true cash value of less than $80,000. The deadline for the submission this year was February 20th. However, the state of Michigan, I've lost my place. So The state of Michigan required that a Form 5076, or the affidavit to claim the small business tax exemption, could be received up until March Board of Review, and then therefore would have to be taken directly to March Board of Review to be heard. So even though they had the deadline of February 20th, they then extended it and said if you filed later than that but got it in before the end of March Board of Review, we had to take it to the board and let them hear it. Also process Form 5278, which is the eligible manufacturing personal property tax exemptions for all timely submitted personal property parcels. Beginning in the 2016 assessment year, qualified new personal property and qualified previously existing personal property located on occupied, I'm sorry, and I know this is very dry, but this, it's what it says the law reads, so. So beginning in 2016 assessment year, qualified new personal property and qualified previously existing personal property located on occupied real property is exempt from ad valorem taxation, is instead subject to the state essential services assessment. And that deadline also was February 20th. However, once again, the state then said if they turned them in up until the last day of March Board of Review, we had to hear it and process it accordingly. So we also had change of assessment notices that were mailed out to all property owners in February. And the notice informed the taxpayer of their tentative assessed value, their capped value, and their taxable value changes from 2017 to 2018. The notice also listed the March Board of Review dates and times for appeal. Taxable value changes were capped at the inflation rate multiplier, inflation rate or consumer price index. That was 2.1 or 1.021 for 2018. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics uses the CPI to track inflation, indicating that $1 in 2017 was predicted to be worth $1.02 in 2018. The 2018 assessment roll was completed and certified by myself and then submitted to the board for review. We held March Board of Review, organizational meeting March 6th, and then heard public appeals Monday, March 12th, Wednesday, March 14th, and then again on Monday, March 19th. We had 41 changes that I brought to the Board of Review. Those changes were made up of 7 veterans exemptions, 34 personal property statements that were received from February 20th and up until the March Board of Review. The board heard 2 petitioners' appeals and answered questions for 1 resident. I would like to say that the board did an incredible job working with taxpayers. They were courteous, professional, and attentive to the taxpayers' concerns, and the board has also researched the facts and made good informed decisions. Next, you'll see a chart for the value changes from 2017 to 2018. They are broke down by commercial, industrial, and residential. The totals, 87,832,900 for 2017, and then 2018, 87,536,520 with a total net change of a negative 0.34%. And then also listed for personal property, and again broke down commercial, industrial, utility. Overall had a net change of a negative 5.96%. Some of that is due to existing personal property that had been in the city in 17 moving out. So that was the biggest reason for that change. And then overall ad valorem property values with a change of a negative 0.8%. I am in the assessing office on Tuesdays. Would like to note that additional time is necessary to fulfill the duties of the office. I'm available the rest of the week during normal business hours via my cell phone. Would also like to indicate that Josh has given me the ability through IT to be able to access the system remotely. So I could go home in the evening, check the email. If there's something like a property card, it's just a matter of getting that out so they don't have to wait until I'm in the office the next week. I'd like to thank the City of Buchanan for giving me the opportunity to serve as the assessor. This position has come with many challenges. We've managed to work through a computer crash. Without access to the database, the job was all but impossible. However, the city did purchase a new computer. Would like to thank you for that. But we do continue to deal with issues due to uncontrollable Windows updates. However, even though I can't use the system, everybody within the office has been fantastic. I've been able to use Julie's office or sometimes Yvonne's system so that our residents don't necessarily have to deal with any long delays. We're able to get through it. So every staff member has been willing to help, and the challenges that have come with it are small when compared to the rewards of the teamwork, the friendships, and the knowledge of a job completed to the best of one's ability. So I'd like to thank you for that. I also have additional comments that were not brought to you initially. Every year, the State Tax Commission requires that assessors complete 16 hours of continuing education, and we have to do that to maintain our certification. So next Thursday, I will be attending a continuing education course on AMAR, or the Audit of Minimum Assessing Requirements, and the state comes through every 5 years to do that, just to make sure that everything's being done as they would like. This is relevant because this time, the state is going to do an audit in Berrien County on the 2019 tax roll, which is the one I'm working on right now. So they want to verify that each municipality has a policy in place that will address tax exemptions. So this policy will also, or should include, an application process. Now, I have some rough draft information now, but I'll get verification next week on what it is exactly that we need, because that's something that the commission as a whole will need to, decide on what policy they want or application, get that implemented so that we can check off that, yes, we do in fact have that, so. And again, there's another one, and that will be with regard to filing of the property transfer affidavits. Right on the form, it says you have 45 days to complete the form. Well, people don't always make the 45 days. So the law says that you can charge up to $5 a day, you can charge $5 a day up to $200 a day for every day that they are late. Or you can choose not to implement that at all, and you can waive it, and of course that will be up to the commission to decide which way they would like to go. But again, I'll attend the class next week, get verification on exactly what they're looking for, and then I'll come back and present that to Bill, and you guys can make your decisions from there, so.
Great. Anybody have any questions on the commission?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and
Yep.
thank you for
Thank
your
you.
report. We
Outstanding
appreciate.
report. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
we
Thank you.
appreciate all you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, we're going to move on to item B, White Cane Week, and this evening we'll be hearing from Mark Tumbleson.
Thank you very much for having us here tonight. I am the president of the Buchanan-Galeens Lions Club. 84 years we've been serving the communities of Buchanan and Galeen. This week we will be conducting our White Cane Week drive, which is basically the Lions Club out in the community on Friday afternoon and Saturday morning, collecting donations for the site fund. All of the monies that we collect during this process go right back into the community of Buchanan and Galeen. They're used to meet any eye care needs that there are, exams, eyeglasses, whatever is needed from our site fund. Our chairman for the White Cane is Lion Mark Nixon. We'll have 3 teams divided up on Friday afternoon and again on Saturday morning that will be out at different businesses in town that have allowed us to be outside of their facilities. And we would encourage anyone who sees us out this weekend to participate. We thank the community for their support in the past. We typically gather somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000, and all that money goes right back into the needs of the community. So this is just one small thing that we do. We're involved in the community in many different ways. Our motto is "We serve." We like to think of ourselves as one of the best kept secrets in town. We don't look for a lot of publicity, but we try to meet the needs of the community behind the scenes. So thank you for having us here. We're very involved in the community. We're very involved in the school and also in our mission for Lions International, and that's meeting the eye care needs. So be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
No.
And do you still accept donations of used eyeglasses? And if so, where can people drop those off?
We do. We have a box at Smoke Family Vision, also at Swims Chapel, Dr. Benedict's office, and United Way, or United Federal Credit Union.
Great. Anyone else?
I think they do an outstanding job. Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, we're on item C, Planning Commission update, and this evening we'll be hearing from Deborah Patzer.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I wanted to address you this evening because I did have a memo in your packet. At long last, we are starting the master plan process. and that's so important for the community. Under PA, I think it's 33 of 2008, you must have an updated master plan because that guides the development of the community, and the goals and decisions that are made for the direction of the community that are included in the master plan then translate into amendments to the zoning ordinance and changes in the zoning ordinance, perhaps the zoning districts in the city. So it's a very critical document, and I wanted to take the opportunity tonight to say that we are starting that process. In your packet, you also had a community, a survey, a community survey. And in the past, a lot of times, a community survey was used as a way to get involvement in the community. At the Planning Commission meeting, we did receive some input actually from the members who were in the audience, as well as from the planning commissioners. We had a discussion, and sort of the overall result of that was that we thought the survey itself may be a little bit dated. In an attempt to reach out to everyone in the community, we have a lot of different groups who have different perspectives. We have a lot of different age groups that we want to address. And so it may not be anymore that one community survey serves all, if you will. So what the discussion was briefly was sort of maybe doing a type of a SWOT analysis, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, which is actually a business model for management, but asking people what are Buchanan's assets, what are things that they would like to see in Buchanan. Again, keeping in mind that this is a master plan. You know, obviously, I know you as the commissioners identify your goals and objectives every year, and those are important. And, you know, going through that on a basis that with all of the interested members of the community so that we can get a document that is going to have some longevity to it. As the pace of change is accelerating, we probably want to do a more detailed, in-depth, perhaps every 5 years, because things are changing so rapidly. But long story short, unlike Mindy, I don't have pages of facts and information, but again, just to ask for your participation and input. And the Planning Commission has decided that they would like to serve basically as the steering committee and run the meetings through the Planning Commission and get input. Myself, as the zoning administrator, and the city staff is probably the most convenient email for people. And I can begin to compile information received and also try and reach out and make presentations where needed to groups that we would like to get their feedback. So just to conclude that we are undertaking this process, we would like to get information, feelings from as many people as possible. So we're looking at constructing some sort of a document presentation with electronic media and all of the other things that are available to us now that we didn't have 10 years ago to get the information out that can assist us as we continue forward. So you may see me back here from time to time to let you know what our progress is. I'm sure that you will be a recipient of whatever device we come up to get community input. So that's what we have to look forward to, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have tonight.
Go ahead, Commissioner Moore.
I would just like to give you this input that even though I agree that having a paper survey is somewhat dated when so many people have other electronic means, there is a big part of our community that is not digitally adept or even have access to it. So I would like to just have you convey that to the Planning Commission, that we need to make special arrangements or special accessibility possibilities to people who are shut-ins or the elderly in the community or the working people that aren't home very often, to be able to fill out stuff, so.
Absolutely.
If there, so I mean, I'm not, I don't really want to go all internet.
No.
So I'm just hoping there will be a variety of ways, even if just people stopping in a counter or presentations at Mill Pond or Matia or any of the other apartment complexes, so that there's actual input available for people.
Oh, absolutely. And I
Okay.
didn't mean to suggest if I did that the paper has gone away. I also enjoy paper. But what we tried to take a look at is maybe having the questions be a little more open-ended rather than giving people a choice of rating, simply asking a question and giving them an opportunity to respond and then trying to categorize that. And absolutely, paper will not go away.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Turney?
Yeah, I was at that meeting, of course, I'm on the board. Cindy brought up a good point, and Kevin did too. The current application that's attached here, after going over it myself, it's very cumbersome. And, I think it's, like Kevin said, the simple answer, yes, no. You don't give them 6 choices, because people are just not going to say, I don't want to do this. And concentrate on the city's assets and liabilities and maybe go from there. And all this, they were just trying to go with what we had from the last one. So, but I thought the idea is at the planning commission to cut it down, make it a simple answer, and don't make it confusing for everybody.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what I was, trying to convey here. And like I said, taking the opportunity to address the commissioners, hopefully on our channel 17, and what we do decide to come up with is an opportunity really for us to try and reach out to as many people as possible, and certainly welcome any feedback. My email, dpatzer@cityofbuchanan.com, might be a place to start, and the planning commissioners will all be involved, and we are working with the Southwestern Michigan Planning Commission as our facilitator. So we have a lot of people in the loop, but, my concern, again, is making sure that we reach out to the best of our ability to address a wide range of people, keep it simple, and then get the information and move forward and create a meaningful document.
Carla, did you have anything? I was just curious, is this open to just city residents, or is it open to people in the townships and people who might pass through here for other reasons? And how do we ensure that if it is city residents, how are we going to make sure that city residents are the ones filling them out?
We can ask, there is some demographic information, if you will see on the last page of the current outreach, and I don't even know if I have the last page. But we can explain certainly who it is, and we should ask people where they live. And by law, I believe we do need to reach out to our adjoining townships. We need to reach out to the utilities. And certainly, we welcome input.
Yeah.
Our primary focus is reaching, our citizens, because this is going to translate into a law that's going to affect all of us, so.
Right.
But we will reach out.
Okay, great. Anything else? Thank you for coming this evening,
Thank
Deborah.
you.
There's a lot of questions on that. All right, and with that, we're going to go on to item number 7, unfinished business. We're on letter A. We're going to consider resolution 2018.05 for the city of Buchanan to adopt a budget for the fiscal year of 2018-2019. Bill?
Mayor's Commissioner, taking advantage of our treasurer being here tonight, and she'll have some comments to review the process we've gone through and any specific questions you may have on the budget. Julie?
Good evening.
Well, in accordance with Chapter 9 of the City Charter of the City of Buchanan governing budget, procedure, and general finance, and in compliance with the requirements of the Michigan Uniform Accounting and Budgeting Act, a balanced budget has been brought to you, and tonight, on behalf of Chief Marks, we'd like to have you approve the budget that we spent hours going over on March 19th at our budget work session. We also had the budget submission on April 9th. On April 23rd, we had a budget public hearing. And tonight is the final adoption for the general fund, major local street repair and maintenance, water and sewer funds, and the brownfield TIF funds. According to the charter, budget needs to be adopted every year.
Any questions from the commission? Yes, Commissioner Turney?
Question on the $175,000 that's coming out for the Fort Street. Where exactly, is it coming out of the DPW cemetery or the major streets or local streets?
Are you talking about the River Street?
Yeah.
That's going to, if approved, and if the commission approves, we would like to have it come out of the reserves we have set aside in the major and local streets.
So-
Transfer that into street repair and maintenance and pay
So
that.
that would come out of the 368,000?
The 368,000 is just the budget. That's not how much money we
Is it-
have.
is in there?
That's-
Okay.
Yeah. It's not in this budget. We will do a budget amendment once that project is approved.
But that's where it
And
would
because
come
we don't know if you're going to approve the whole project or if you're just going to approve the
Right.
street light. And I think you'll determine that tonight. And then you'll see a budget amendment according to what plan and recourse you take.
But that's where it would come out of then?
Yes, we're planning on taking a budget, well, a transfer from either, or both, major and local streets into street repair and maintenance to pay for those. We have surpluses in both funds from years of budgeting in major and local streets and not spending all that money. So that's funds that have been set aside for a rainy day, which in this case is that project.
Yes, okay, great.
Anyone else?
I'd just like to make the motion, we approve, we adopt the budget for fiscal year 2018, 2019.
I'll support.
Okay, roll call, please.
Turney,
Yes,
Cole? Yes. Hess?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, and
Thank
thank
you
you
all.
for all of your hard work,
Oh,
Julie.
no
We
problem.
appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.
All right, and with that, we're on unfinished business. Item B, consider approving design option 1 or design option 2 for the City of Buchanan welcome sign with North American Signs.
168. 168.
Mayor, Commissioners, that resolution number is 168.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Item A. Mayor and Commissioners, in your packet of briefing information, you were provided some information regarding the proposal by our sign company. Sean's here tonight. Do you want to pose the options to them? Sure. Good. Go right to the source.
I will. I left it on the printer at work, so I apologize, I don't have it in front of me. But you can see that there
Just
are,
refer to my copy?
well, you can see there's two different signs. There's sign B and then sign C are the larger welcome signs. Both have an option for using the logo like the one behind you. And then another option with like a watercolor painting of downtown. You know, they're both the same price, so it doesn't really matter. It's just a matter of what you think would represent the city better, so. It's really,
Commissioner Moore?
it's really up to you.
I kind of like the option 2, the one with the our logo here, so that's my input.
Commissioner Turney?
I also agree with Commissioner Moore, 'cause the only reason why option 1 is the buildings could change over time and the background could change. So I agree 2 would be the logic, in my estimation.
Okay.
I like number 1. Eventually, we're going to have to change the sign anyway. It's something that can be redone, which I'm sure is not going to be a major change, but I like option number 1.
I would like to point out that none of our new signs feature the fact that we're a promise community. Do we want to make sure that that's on there? Or is that, should I have thought of that months
No,
ago?
I mean, we can put whatever you want on there. That's,
Okay.
yeah, it's really up to you.
It's a good idea, because I didn't even think about that, but it really should be on there.
Okay.
I have no problem making more revisions. If you choose a design, if you choose one or two, we can use that design and then incorporate the Promise Community, and I can send that back to Bill, and he can give it to you.
Yeah, I think
to-
that's
to look
a big,
Yeah,
big thing.
it would
That
be a
sounds
big
great. I'm
plus.
sorry to
No, it's,
add this
we
in
wanna
the
do it right the
11th
first
hour,
time,
but I
so.
just felt like something was missing, and it just dawned
It
on me
is.
what that might be.
That's the draw.
So we kind of want to feature that.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you so
Do that.
much. All right.
Do we need to make a,
Do we want to,
we have to make a motion?
you want us
don't
to
we?
go ahead and make the choice?
It would help if you'd pick one of those, and then we'll incorporate the Promise Community to whichever
Okay.
design you choose.
And you're going to start within a month or a couple weeks, or?
Well, if you make a decision, then we'll get started right away.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
excellent.
All right.
Okay.
I make the motion that we pick the option number 2 and to incorporate it. I think you said this is a promise?
Promise Community?
A promise community.
And I'll support it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Cole?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Attorney?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all your hard work, Sean. We
Yes,
really
really.
appreciate you. And as demonstrated in our packet, I know people in the audience can't see, our signs have needed
you
some
wanna come up, I'll
attention
leave
and
it up
love for
here.
quite some time.
If you want to look at it.
All right, and with that, we're going to move on to item number 8, new business. We're on letter A. Pursuant to section 4.12 of the city charter, the city manager wishes to appoint Dina Yao as the city clerk and requesting commission approval.
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm happy to say that we've found a new clerk to replace Gladys, who was an excellent clerk for 20 years with the city, Buchanan. We lost a lot of institutional knowledge of the city and our past operations, but I'm very pleased to introduce Dana Yao to you as our next clerk. We selected her through a process which involved applications. 12 applications were received. A interview panel was set up and interviewed the applicants. And from there, we came up with a selection of the top 3. From that selection, I selected Dana as the best candidate out of that group. And that was mostly based on the fact that she has previous clerk experience. She is clerk at the city of Watervliet. She has election experience, so that's something very, very valuable in these times of, with all the election work that we have coming forward with the November election. So I'm very pleased. Dana, you want to, she's going to do a little introduction to herself, and so.
Oh, that's all right. We aren't either.
I'm very excited to be here. I am eager to get to know every one of you and the residents that we serve. A little bit of my background is I went to school in hospitality management. I ended up doing accounting and bookkeeping for 15 years, mostly in the tool and die industry. And like Bill said, I've been a city clerk for the last 4 years. I do acknowledge I have a lot to learn, but I also bring a lot to the table. The things that I have to learn, though, I think are the fun, easy stuff, like getting to know the history of the city and getting to know the residents and the businesses. I've already started reading your charter. That's another thing I get to learn. And what I bring to the table is election law knowledge, FOIA law knowledge, Robert's rules. I'm a quick learner, a team player, and know how to use my resources. I thank you very much for this opportunity. I have been welcomed with open arms. It was very nice. And I would like to give a shout out to my girl, Mandy. She stepped up during the time of transition and has done a great job.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
I'd just like
Yes.
to make the motion that we approve.
On the
that
question?
selection.
Oh, okay, hang on a second. Commissioner Turney, you want to ask her a question a second?
Yeah, can I ask you, why are you leaving Watervliet to come to Buchanan?
I think it's a better opportunity for me. It's a bigger community.
And you've been there, what, 4 years?
4 years.
4 years as an actual clerk.
As city clerk,
And
yeah.
my other question is, do you have any special training as to being a clerk? Or what is your education background for a city clerk?
So to be a city clerk, you are required to do training. So there's clerk training, there's election training. I went to training for FOIA. I was trained by the state of Michigan in FOIA law.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Is that enough?
Okay,
At the present.
thank you. All right. Commissioner Moore, do you want to go ahead and make your motion?
I made the motion.
Okay, can we get a second?
I'll support.
Okay, roll call, please.
Cole?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Turney?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And on behalf of the commission, we welcome you. Thank you very much. All right, we're moving on to item B. Consider approving the demolition of 906 Victory Street and 405 Arctic Street as part of the County of Berrien's tax foreclosure process.
Mayor and Commissioners, annually, we receive a list of properties that have gone to foreclosure for non-payment of taxes. Normally, that list comes out early, and it's long. Can be up to a couple of pages long, but by the time we get down to the final date, those properties get very few and far between. This year, we have 4 properties that are actually on the foreclosure list that will be heading towards the county auction. 2 of those properties warrant the structures that are on them to come down. They are very old. They haven't been occupied since 2014, 2015. There are indications that animals have been going in and out of the properties. Roofs have failed. Water has not been, they haven't been occupied from 2014. Water meters have been pulled. Those are 2 properties that are located on 906 Victory Street and 405 Arctic Street. And so we have to provide the county treasurer with a notice that you accept those properties to be on the demolition list at the county. The cost of demolition is bared by the county under the land bank, and so those properties will be demolished. The properties will be sold. At the time of the auction, the person who bids on the property, it's made very clear that the property is only vacant land, even though there's a structure on it. The property will be demolition, and so on. The other 2 homes that are on the list are repairable, and those were not selected for demolition. So,
Any questions?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, yep. All right, I'll need a motion.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll support.
All right, roll call, please.
Hess?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Turney?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. And with that, we're going to move on to item C, consider approval of extending our present lease with Midwest Escapes LLC for another 6 months or until November 16th, 2018.
Mayor and Commissioners, May 17th, 2017, we approved a lease with Escape, the Escape Group that leased Ross Sanders properties, a portion of the interior, actually about 3 rooms that they did lease in the building. They got a very slow start in getting it up and rolling. The developer took time out to have a baby, and so that really kind of slowed things down for them. So as of May 17th, they started paying lease payments to the city. They've been paying $480 a month, even though they hadn't developed their property and/or had any income coming in with the property. They were able to get it up and rolling around the holiday. So they haven't had a whole lot of history with the property. They want to extend the lease for 6 months to see if they can make a better improvement in the event type of business, and they've asked for an extension of 6 months at that $480 a month. Their impact on the property is relatively low. They have made an investment in personal time and financial investment in improvements in that property, as well as the city did, to maneuver some of the interior so they could use it. Those are all improvements that needed to be done anyway. Everybody's kind of familiar with what had to be done to Ross Sanders. That $480 that we get for a lease goes towards additional repairs to Ross Sanders. Recently, we have put out the applications for seasonal employees, and our skilled employees that we had last year aren't available this year, so we've been looking for some skilled labor out there to help us do the additional repairs for the exterior of that building. The $480 lease is what we use to help pay for that, those repairs. We do have a line on a seasonal employee that has a construction background, so we're anxious to see how that plays out this week. But we would like to offer the extension to the Escape Group for an additional 6 months to allow them to further develop their business at Ross Sanders. And let's see, I think there was a couple of questions that Ross Sanders upkeep. I kind of explained a little bit of that. The lease helps support the upkeep of Ross Sanders. Does it pay for all of the work? No. The city does pay a lot of that, and especially in the repairs that we're going to try to tackle this year. We hope to address the deteriorated trim up in the eaves of the property. The individual we're looking at this week to hire, he's got a background in woodworking, and I think he'll have the capability to work with Peter Lisi and Bill Cameron and repairing those items, those details in Ross Sanders that we all want. So let's see. As the Escape Group brought people to town, they've been happy with the groups that they have attracted. They would like to develop their business even more. But, it's slow. They're not making a lot of money hand over fist, but they hope to continue to develop that and hopefully to sustain their presence in Buchanan. The upkeep, in general upkeep, we would have been paying the heating bill on the property anyway. We would have kept the water on anyway. The property is used for different purposes, even with the Escape Group in there. It has some additional retail potential. I guess that's how I can explain that. For, again, what people have been brought to the community and what they do in the community, that's kind of, I don't have a lot of data to provide you, but a lot of the groups are corporate groups that come in from different areas to take part in that, the story or the event. So that's what we had. So right now, actually, I'm asking you to extend the lease for the Escape Group for another 6 months.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Commissioner Attorney, question?
No problem.
Commissioner Cole?
I have a comment. I have seen their website, which you can access on that Screen Park, and it's very attractive. So hopefully, as more people look at that through the October season, I think that will draw more people to that locale, because there's other escape rooms also advertised on the Scream Parks website. So I personally would be in favor of it, and
Okay.
I'd be happy to make that motion.
Okay, can I have support?
I'll give
support.
Go ahead.
All right, roll call, please.
Moore,
Yes.
Turney,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
motion carries.
And I'd just like to make an after comment that they are not presently using the jail cells, but they're working their way towards that, and I've been pleased with the amount of cleaning and caring for that area that's been going on, so I appreciate that. With that, let's move on to item D. We're going to have discussion and endorsement of the intersection enhancement project for 4th Street and Redbud Trail that would include land acquisition for the required right-of-way to move a short section of 4th Street in line with River Street at the intersection with Redbud Trail.
Mayor, Commissioners, we've had past conversations about this opportunity and option. We told you then that we would try to do some research, prepare some numbers for your information and further discussion on the project. We do have some numbers. The numbers were contained in your briefing for this week, and I'll go through those. The cost, let me also clarify that this is an optional project. The street light, or excuse me, traffic light improvement for that intersection is approved, and I guess we are on the bubble. It could be March of 2019 would be possibly a construction start on that project. So that is a go already. So this would be an option if we want to do some tweaking up at that intersection. At the same time, we're doing the traffic light project. There is a benefit that some of the traffic light project could bleed over into the tweaking of the roadway, which would be somewhat of financial benefit. Those kind of things would be made, we would know exactly what those are more into the construction period. So right now, we don't know how that would play out. But to move 4th Street to the north, to align it with River Street, the construction cost would be $132,100. That's some engineering, infrastructure, because we would be taking 4th Street and starting about Short Street and redoing that whole roadway, replacing infrastructure on that roadway as we move it, which is curbs and gutters and new pavement, to move it approximately 30 feet to the north to better align it. We do have a Phase 1 cost of between $2,000. That's what's been quoted in the final number here. It could, depending on what we find in the ground, it could increase to, say, up to $8,000 in a worst-case scenario. The land acquisition to acquire the land needed to make this move would be about $40,000. And what that includes is the demolition of the old trophy building, which presently has no roof on it. The building, what you see is the walls, but the entire roof has fallen in. That would be the demolition, removal of the slabs around that property, and a requirement by the homeowner or property owner that you would have to install either asphalt or concrete driveway to the structure that remains on that property. It's one large property. There's two structures on it. One is the rental property, has 2 units in it. The other is the Trophy Works. Removing the Trophy Works allows a new driveway to be built on 4th Street rather than where it presently is on Redbud Trail, which is very very cumbersome for the residents there, for them to try to get in and out of that busy intersection. So the approximate total cost for this optional construction project is about $174,000. That is 35% of our reserves for the major and local streets. So take that into account in your discussion. Again, this is an optional project. The area would benefit by improving that intersection. Can we get by without this improvement? Yeah, but it is a cumbersome intersection. We all know it. So that's where
Okay, and I'm going to just interject. For those people that don't understand why we're looking at this intersection, I would challenge that you come into town on River, and I would challenge you to try to go straight onto 4th with people from out of town that are turning left onto Redbud. How many people have had to stop and wait while someone has gone straight and cut in front of your car or almost sideswiped you because they can't figure out the lane markings? In addition, if you're going outside, you're heading out of town on Redbud, that line in the middle, if you're sitting in the left-hand turn lane to turn onto 4th, the oncoming traffic is not lined up. It's not lined up, and you're actually kind of heading into a head-on with oncoming traffic. For those of us that live here and have experience, we're a lot better at that. But we have a lot of out-of-town visitors, especially a high population of people that turn the corner, try to go into the gas station there or into Lowry's, and I see pedestrians getting in the way, bicyclists. I also see skateboarders. There's a lot of people in the mix there, and please, if you have any doubts about that intersection, I challenge you to go and just watch it or drive it a few times at different times of the day. I think it's serious. I think we need to think about it. So that's just, yes.
Yeah, I want to say, I'm looking at it on the safety point side of it. I have watched people that are traveling on Redbud going south, and then you north, and then you have the people going north. Well, the south people are sitting back here. Your south people are here, and I've watched many times expecting to see an accident. They make that left-hand turn onto 4th Street, and they're trying to beat the guy that's sitting here coming from the north. And it's like, you know, I think by having a 4-way stop, basically, instead of that weighted light to change for 4th Street, I think it's safer. I think it's going to make it easier when the Redbud racetrack is going on the different big racetrack races that they're having. I would think that would help move the traffic through that area as well. So I think it's a thing that we need to do.
Commissioner Turney?
Another factor is the winter driving. There's a small hill there, so during the winter time, I believe that also causes some
icing.
problems there. I mean, people who live here, we avoid that. So I'm just kind of bringing that up too. I think it'll enhance that area, because the city is looking for future projects down River Street, and I think that will enhance it. That possibly could also bring more businesses to this particular city. And we have a more modern roads, we have a traffic light, we'll have the handicap accessible sidewalks. So I think it would be a very good idea for the Buchanan to do this.
Commissioner Moore, do you have anything?
Yeah, I was just going to comment that you don't know if you're facing west on River Street if the people opposite you on 4th Street have a green or not. There's
Correct.
no
Exactly.
knowledge of whether these people are coming towards you or if they are offset, they have to wait. Now, we all know you just have to wait through it.
Right.
But if you're from out of town, it is confusing. I complained to the previous city manager about it, because I think it is really not very clear and it's not a very safe situation. I mean, when you know what to do, it's, oh, what's the big deal? But no, I think it is something that we really could benefit the citizens.
All right. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to need a motion.
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we endorse the enhancement project for 4th Street and Redwood Trail that would include the land acquisition for the required right-of-way to move a short section of 4th Street in line with River Street at the intersection with Redwood Trail.
I'll support that.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ernie?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, and with that, we're at public comment. Citizens are allowed up to 3 minutes to discuss any non-agenda item.
I live at 402 West Front Street here in Buchanan. I lived in Buchanan. Well, I'm 83 and I've lived here 70 years, so I pretty well know the whereabouts. And I want to give the commissioner this letter that I wrote to the Historical Society. Bill has already got one. And I got some comments here I'd like to make about Front Street traffic. And
Are these, I'm sorry, I need to interrupt you just for a second. Are these all the same or are these different?
they're all the same.
Okay,
I
great.
just had to rewrite it because
Okay.
one of them you couldn't read very well.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Right. The deputy chief did get the log haulers stopped from going down through town. All of those, we're in a historical area. And all of those stores were built, and the homes were built for horse and buggies. They weren't built for semis. And now we have co-ops hauling dangerous chemicals down through town. We don't need that. That's a school zone. The neighborhood homes are all historical homes. They're 150 plus years old, and they're rattling those homes. You got signs out there, you want to save a house down on one of the side streets downtown, but how about saving some of the houses on Front Street and the stores downtown? There is no need to deliver company. You got the businesses outside of town, and they're hauling all of their stuff down through town in semis, and they're getting their product brought in through town on semis, and we don't need that. And also, I was told that we get extra funding for Front Street to be a truck route, and I have since found out that that is not true. I talked to a 9-year veteran of this commission, and one of the commissioners on here told me that's not true. So that truck stop can go anywhere. Do you have a comment on that, Bill?
Yeah, I'm surprised because Front Street is a truck route. We do receive funding through the NATS program out of Niles, which is shared in our regional by other communities. The same funding that resurfaced South Redbud, that surfaced East Front Street,
We get
came out
money.
of that funding.
We get money from the state and the federal government to do all the streets. I mean, we don't pay for it out of the
No,
tax
we
fund
get,
here.
we get specific funding on our main street.
I'll have to be shown that because 9-year veteran told me that was not true, and one of your commissioners told me that is not true. So I'll have to be shown that.
A 9-year veteran, who's that?
I haven't been. I'll tell you, his name was Dale Proud, or Dale Backus.
Oh, okay.
But I won't tell you which one of your commissioners up here told me it. And we were supposed to be having a meeting on this Front Street, and this has not happened yet. What happened to that meeting we were going to have?
Well, I can tell you that the signs were actually just approved this morning. There was 4 signs that we are purchasing. They're $89 a piece. There's 4 of them, and it's local deliveries only is what we're going to be putting up to try to regulate some of the truck traffic. So You know, trying to prevent trucks on a truck route is a little challenging.
Well,
Unless,
there's so many other ways we can get this traffic, this truck traffic in. It does not have to go through this historical town of
Yeah.
Buchanan. In that letter, you'll see where it says it will not be a cute little town. It'll be a Chicago slum. And there's another thing here. This is not verbatim, but it's pretty well hits it. It says here that evil exists only when good people do nothing. So I'm not saying that this is an evil thing, but when good people are not doing something to correct the downtown Buchanan and the historical, then that's the evil part of it.
Okay, thank you.
And that's all I have, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
So please take care of this beautiful, cute little town that the Chicago people are coming into. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening? All right, with that, we'll move on. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
I have two things. One, a neighbor of mine, I'm Cindy Benson, 212 Cecil Street. A neighbor of mine wants to know about the progress on the dog park because they want to take their dog that's about that big down there to run around. I'd like to take my big dog down there. When is it going to be up and running?
Your Honor, may I?
Yes, go right ahead.
We don't have an actual opening date, but people are using the park now.
So it's all enclosed?
It is all enclosed.
And big
but
dogs
what
and
the
little dogs are
difference
separate?
is, we are waiting for installation of the separating fencing
Okay.
down the center that will create the 2 spaces for the small dogs, which for people, that's 30 pounds and lighter.
Smaller, yeah.
And then large dogs
My
would be
dog.
30, and your dog would be large dog. And so we are hoping to, once we have a date, it's partly the weather and getting, we have the fencing dates, and we're getting
We have
that.
funding.
Yes, we have funding, and we've been getting some more funding. We're happy to, anyone who would like to make a contribution can write a check to City of Buchanan /Dog Park and help us. But we do have funding that we are going to be able to open the park, and we're getting the fencing.
They're very
and we're
concerned.
Yeah, so I mean, someone can go down there and kind of check, and Carla's been going down cleaning, and it's a community effort, really. We have support from the Masons, from the Scarecrow Charities. We have a lot of people that have come forward with extra funding for us, so it's been really wonderful.
Good.
So I think it's going to be a huge success and we will let people know when we have an open date. And also Ben Sadler of Michiana Hot Dogs has offered to do, I believe, 4 fundraisers for us this summer with his Dogs for Dogs. So,
Oh, cute.
yeah, all right. So not that we're selling actual dogs, it's a hot dog. So just to
Gotcha.
clarify that.
Okay, I will tell my neighbors
Okay,
about
yeah.
the little dog.
Yes, and I'm going to let Carla make a comment as
Okay,
well.
I just wanted to mention, I was up there planting flowers around the front entrance, and there was a gentleman there, had 2 large dogs there, and he uses it every afternoon. He does have to tie the gates closed so they don't get out. My
okay.
suggestion is if you have a small dog and you go up there, to really watch, because there are some spots where they could sneak through, and we plan on getting those closed up as,
If
Have
my dog
more-
goes down there, it would have to be an elephant-sized hole.
yeah.
So,
We've closed
Okay.
the elephant.
Well, I have 2 5-pounders, and there's no way I can let them loose in there
Okay.
right now because they could sneak right through.
okay.
But the weather's not been cooperating. When it's rainy, they can't get in there and put the posts and whatnot up for the fencing, so hang in there with us.
I'll let them know. Then my other one was, I don't know if I can do this. It has to do with, in your new business, this demolition stuff. I moved back to Buchanan from Brandywine in, I think it was 2006. And there was a house on Sylvan that's not directly behind me, but it's a little bit offset from me. And the only residents there have been raccoons and skunks since I've been here. And cracks in the foundation, and it's horrible there. How do we get them on the demolition?
Why don't you see Bill after the meeting and
if they
Sylvan.
don't pay their taxes, it gets to the land auction through the county. We would have to, I'd have to check to see what the code enforcement has been on that property. And if you can provide me with the address
Okay, I can do that tomorrow.
or stop in, you know, we can talk about it and.
Okay. Because we have quite a population of
focus on that.
raccoons and skunks and deer and everything else up there.
Yeah.
In the city, I have more there than I had when I lived in the country. Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else this evening? All right, I don't want to jump the gun again. All right, and with that, let's go on to item number 10, city manager's comments. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. A couple of comments. We've been struggling with a damaged fire hydrant that is in front of the Moccasin School area. It is, as I explained, the background on that hydrant. It was produced by the Bourbon Copper Company, which went out of business in the early 1950s. It started in the 1830s. We believe we have a model that was somewhere around the 1930s that were put in. It's a 4-inch main, and its primary purpose is to just help flush that 4-inch main that we have up in that area. There's another hydrant that is across the street that is a high-volume hydrant for firefighting. This week, we during our hydrant flushing, the shaft broke from the top of the hydrant down to the shutoff valve that is below subsurface, and it's been leaking ever since. We opened it up, excavated it, and we found what we thought we would probably find is that there is no isolation valve on that hydrant, so we would have to shut 8 different valves off to isolate that whole area to try to replace that hydrant. Last week, we had an outside company come in to put an insertive valve in there so we could repair that item under pressure, and so we can isolate it. And when the hydrant was put in, they used an oversized 4-inch, so we had to go back and order another flange to go on there. So hopefully that'll get repaired yet this week. Weather giving us a little bit of a break. We hope over the next 2 days we'll get that repaired. I also want to comment, we had 2 memorial trees planted last week up near Harger Park, 2 beautiful little trees that 2 of our younger residents helped plant. Again, there were some photos in your briefing and on Facebook of that little event that was very positive for the community. I was happy to see in the few breaks of nice weather that we had, several ladders up on downtown businesses. I hope that's an indication that we'll have some of the downtown business owners making some upgrades and maintenance to their buildings. Again, we sent letters out to the property owners fall of last year, 2017, requesting them to come up with a plan for some type of improvement and attention to their facades. Out of the 7 property owners, we sent letters to about 10 different properties. 5 of them came forward with plans that they were more than willing to work with the city on that, and I was happy to see that. 2 of them were unresponsive, so we are working on those 2 unresponsive properties to bring those up into compliance. So outside of that, again, the city provides a little duck feeder down at the duck pond. We did have to replace that, it was worn out. The amount of ducks that we've accumulated down there has been real positive. A lot of public interest, a lot of families and kids going down. They put their quarter in the machine and get their little bit of feed, and ducks are pretty well trained to come up and eat out of your hand. So I'm just saying that we wore out another machine because we're filling it about every 7 to 10 days down there. So it's a pretty popular item. Very supportive of that area down there. So that's all I have.
All right, Commissioner Turney?
Thank you, Your Honor. The only thing I got to say is I'd like to thank Guy Lewis, our building inspector, for giving me some heads up and some guidelines on permits. Hopefully that'll be rectified within the near future. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Commissioner Cole?
Okay, I wanted to thank the Scarecrow ladies for the great donation that they made to the dog park. They gave us enough money to get a bench to put at the dog park, and they also gave us a little extra money to put in our general fund to help pay for the fencing and gates that we'll be putting up. Hilltop Cafe, they gave us a great donation. And then on top of the donation, they are going on their own to buy a bench to put at the dog park, and that will be in memory of their father, who was a dog lover. So that was really appreciative, and we love it. The local Masons have given us a donation, and then they turned around and volunteered for labor to help us clean the park, do the raking, doing digging, or whatever. So I plan on using that help a lot. They may not know it yet, but, well, they will after tonight. But I think they're going to be a great friend for us with the dog park. All donations are welcome. It can be $5, and to us, that $5 is like having $1,000. Every little bit helps, $1, $2, whatever you can give. We appreciate it. We've worked so hard on this with many, many yard sales and selling hot dogs, and the rummage sales did really well. And thanks to Ben Sadler, as Commissioner Moore said, he's letting us have a moneymaker selling his hot dogs. So we just appreciate any and all help that we can get from everyone. And Dion and Maria with the Hilltop, very generous. And they wanted to make sure that their dad hasn't been forgotten and to honor him with a bench. That's all I have.
Okay. Commissioner Moore?
Well, I wanted to report on a few of my committees. We have had a cleanup at Catherine Park. We started the new boards, the timbers for the youth garden that's there, and thanks to the city for all your cooperation in moving those landscape timbers there and helping to get rid of the old ones. And I think it looks great. I did decline coating my hands with acrylic paint and putting them on the thing like the little kids were doing, so that's not my thing. So, I did have boundaries there, but it was a fun day. And so if you ever see any of the other park cleanups, come down and help us, because every park, I would like to see at least some weekend we have it scheduled to give special tender loving care to that neighborhood park. A lot of the parks are used, but nobody takes really ownership of it. So we need to, as a community, come together and kind of make sure everything is really fun for the kids. And we definitely need Thurl on the Hill and all those things because we need resources to buy playground equipment. So I think over the next summer, you're going to see more equipment as our committees work through this and make decisions on what's the most age appropriate for the different parks. My other group, the Tin Shop Theater, had a fabulous variety show. I hope everyone here had a chance to see it. There were comedy acts, and they were clean, okay, which is unexpected. And dancing and singing and just the whole gamut. It was very, very entertaining for a very reasonable price. But unfortunately, if you didn't see it, it's gone. That's the thing about the tin shop. You gotta, when you see it come into town, you gotta act, you gotta get your seat, or else you're gonna be missing it. So keep your eyes open for the next event that's coming down the pike. Then the Friends of Oak Ridge Cemetery had scheduled this Civil War cemetery walk with the Southwest Civil War Roundtable, which is a group of people that meet up in St. Joe to discuss the Civil War and Michigan's involvement. So they had several of these pictures of the Civil War veterans that are in Oak Ridge Cemetery. We had it scheduled for Saturday. It was canceled because of the weather report. But when one of our members went by and saw all the people in the cemetery, they said, we've got to have the walk. So they pulled together the people and they had the cemetery walk on an impromptu, like, here, these people are waiting for a walk. They didn't know that it had been canceled. So they had 40 people Saturday for this walk. And then the rain date on Sunday, we did it again. So it was at 1 o'clock on Sunday, we had 30 people show up. So, and I tell you, this Friends of Oak Ridge Cemetery was very close a year or so ago to folding because they really felt like they had really done the improvements to the cemetery that they had wanted. And only through the force of will of just, helping to explain to them we need that group because it's really important. So I just would encourage you to, their meetings are the third Tuesday, in fact, tomorrow night, third Tuesdays of the month, and sometimes we meet here, but lately we've been meeting at the Masonic Lodge. They've been opening their doors for us, and we meet at 7 o'clock. So there's so many ways to spend your time and get involved and show your passion that, these groups are just a wealth of knowledge. Then another group I'm involved with, so I am not home very much, okay? So here is the Buchanan Common has now got their summer lineup for concerts. We are starting June 7th. The South Shore Concert Band is coming. They're opening the 17th season. And I'll just go really quickly. June 14th, the Chippewa Project. June 21st, Van Dyke Review. June 28th, Marty Miles and the Martinizers. July 5th, the Bearfax Band. July 12th, Pastime. July 19th, Moonlighters. July 26th, Gypsy Red. August 2nd, Elvis is coming. Go figure. August 9th, Terry and the Heartbeats. So it's a really great lineup of free music and bring some change so you can buy a raffle ticket at the end of the concert. But let's pack the parks, and that's all I have. Just this great summer's lining up, so everyone get down here.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Moore. And I just wanted to recognize the McCoy Creek Trail. They had a meeting, was it Monday of last week?
Right.
And I had to miss that, but I just wanted
was
to.
there.
You were there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just want to recognize McCoy's Creek Trail is pretty much the hidden gem of Buchanan. It runs right through the heart of the city. If you have not taken time to go out on the trail, you really need to, especially if you haven't done so in the last couple of years. I come to City Hall frequently, and I've joined the gym, and this little stretch right here, all times of the day are filled with children on bicycles, people with walkers, people with their pets, just all sorts of people just enjoying the trail. And it goes all the way through town, and it goes all the way out to the woods, almost to Bakertown. It's a nice long trail. You can park on the parking lot over on Shermer, and it's very paved. It's easily accessible even for handicapped folks. And what I really like about Buchanan, we are very quietly high-tech. We were one of the first communities in Southwest Michigan to have our very own app. If you haven't checked out the Buchanan City app, you really should. But on the trail, they have these little cool things called a QR code. And if you don't know what those are, you just take your cell phone and you aim it at that. And once your cell phone connects to that, all this historical information will pop up right on your phone, and it's kind of like giving yourself a self-guided tour of Buchanan. And the amount of effort and love and just commitment of the trail people, please take time to use the trail, and if you get a chance, let the trail committee know how much you love our trail, because really, it's just kind of a hidden gem, and I just really think it's great. And those new fit stations, I'm not very physically fit, and I thought, well, I better check them out as the mayor. And what I like is they're for fitness levels of everyone. You can be like me and can barely do a sit-up, but they have like different levels for each station. So if you're a beginner to fitness, or if you're super fit and you're trying to get ready, for some kind of event like a 5K, there's all kinds of different activities for you to try at those fit stations. And for people of all ages, children can try those things all the way up through adults. So please enjoy the trail this time of year. And with that, if we don't have anything else, I'd like to move that we adjourn the meeting.
Also move.
Okay?
Support.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for coming, everyone, this evening.